Yes, ladies and gentlemen, welcome to Settle the Score. My name is Harry Durham. I didn't predict that. I didn't predict Spurs to get a point at Anfield. Liverpool, I mean, they just let that happen. It was just a matter of times. Vicario, the absolute crisp wrists, I'm calling him, chocolate wrists. It was pathetic. He should have kept it out. Listen, let's go through all of the action with Mike from Anything Liverpool and Chris from Spurs Chat. Mike, Liverpool just couldn't kill the game off. I mean, a massive 2 points lost in the race for the top four, which we'll get onto in just a little bit. Were the boos justified at full time?
Yeah, listen, I think there's a fair adage saying Liverpool don't boo. It's been a big thing for a while, but we've kind of put that to bed in a way. We booed Trent last year, and now we're booing Slot. And I think, listen, you can sit on either side of the fence. I know plenty of people who went the game that sit on either side, where it's like, listen, you never boo the manager, but also at the same time, it's important fans make their feelings heard. And the reality is, it's not just, I mean, the results haven't been good, but you can almost swallow your pride a little bit with results if the performances are there. We've seen it now. I think I might be wrong. I'm pretty sure it's near 12 times a season from either a winning position or a drawing position post 75th minute. We've gone on to drop points. Drop further points. It's not good enough, and especially at Anfield, like the most noise, unfortunately, that was made inside Anfield was the booing, and that's a shame to say. But again, I don't put that on the fans because it's the players have to play in a way to get the fans on their feet. Liverpool are an emotional team. You know, so Spurs can attest to this as well. When things are not going well, don't get me wrong, the fans will get behind the team, but there's only so many times the fans can get behind the team without being given anything to get behind. And I think we're at that point now where there are too many mistakes where I can't look at an individual. It has to be a bigger thing. It has to be these players won the league last season. This manager won the league last season. But there's something inherently wrong with the way the club is. No one looks happy. There doesn't seem to be a connect between the players and the fans. Doesn't seem to be a connection between the coach and the fans. And that's a rare thing with Liverpool. You know, the manager of Liverpool is meant to be the king of the city. He's meant to represent the club. And I don't say this in a disrespect to Arne Slot, but I don't feel the relationship has been built there, which is incredible considering the success that he brought last year.
Chris, I mean, as the game went later and later and Spurs started getting more and more chances, Richarlison, I think it was that header in the first half that just went wide. Even though the issues that you've had at the football club this season, did you secretly, deep down whilst you're in that away end last night, think we're going to get a point out of this?
Well, I think, what a huge point it is for Tottenham. And I just really do hope, Harry, that this is going to be the turning point in our season and the turning point now, for us to avoid relegation. All the teams around us picked up a point over the weekend. This was hugely important. And I just think that there was a real sense of belief within this squad, within the players and, the away end. And like you mentioned, Richarlison had a number of chances. And then, of course, he buried one right at the end. And I'll be honest, I think that Spurs could have probably won this game. It was a very underperforming Liverpool. It was a very different Liverpool to what we saw last year winning the Premier League title. And what Michael said there, it was like he was describing Tottenham's season, not Liverpool's. But we've had real problems, we've had real struggles, and like I said, I just think that this could be a turning point in our season, and I really do hope so. We've got a huge game against Forest next week, but we showed passion and desire, grit and determination yesterday, and a thoroughly deserved point for us.
Mike, are you worried about the top four as we're going into sort of like the last sort of like 9 games of the season?
Mm-hmm. Yeah, no, I'm absolutely worried. I'm deeply concerned, but I'm more concerned at the fact that, like, you miss out on the trophy, you get knocked out of a cup competition. It is what it is. I have not been confident this season of Liverpool finishing in Champions League spot now for I'd probably say since January, which is insane because we're always within touching distance. You beat Spurs yesterday, which respectfully to Tottenham, we should have. We should have walked Spurs. Their fans were very low spirit. The players were making mistakes constantly. I know it was a better performance from Spurs, but Dragerson should have got about 2 assists yesterday, with respect. Like, he should have. And we walk away with the point which feels like we walked away with nothing. On another weekend where Chelsea dropped points, another weekend where Villa dropped points, and we should capitalise. Liverpool capitalise on these things. That's if you are Liverpool, but we're not representative of our club anymore. This isn't the Liverpool that a lot of us who have came to know. You think about what Klopp did when we barely had centre backs fit. We had Nat Phillips and Reece Williams, with respect to the pair of them, who I will forever love for what they did for us. They dragged us to top four. The reason when seasons were poor under Klopp, there was still that feeling was because that final 10 games we went on a run. And there was a feeling that was building towards next season when we go, you know what? It's fine. We're going to go after it next season. Every single time we did. This season, we're playing the same as we did in October.
Yeah.
It's the exact same. There's no change. And that's where the concern is, because I don't see us picking it up. I don't see us finishing top 4. I don't think, in the same way, whoever wins the league deserves to win the league. I hate saying it currently, but it is true. You think I'm a Spurs fan with that, but it is true. If you win the league, you deserve to win the league. In the same way, if you get relegated, you deserve to be relegated. In the same way, if you finish top 4, you deserve to finish top 4. And as it stands, Liverpool do not deserve to finish top 4.
Chris, with you being there yesterday, I want to know your reaction to Vicario's chocolate wrists, mate, because when I was watching it at home and just the trajectory of the ball from Szoboszlai, yeah, good curve on it, but it's right at the keeper. Vicario gets a hand on it. I hate to be this person that goes, you know what, my nan could actually save that, because we've never been in a position. We've not been on the pitch at Anfield and all of these big stadiums in the world. I feel like we could have had a good go at that. Vicario has to keep that out.
Absolutely right. Absolutely right. I think we've had goalkeeping problems for the last couple of seasons, actually, with respect to Vicario. Yes, he's a good shot stopper normally, but I think he's conceded the more shots outside of the box in the Premier League this season, and that is a really, really big issue. I know Thomas Frank always said to the goalkeepers about, not expecting shots from outside the box, or it could be easy to save because most shots are, but we seem to be conceding them all the time. And I think you're absolutely right, Harry, that I think the footwork was all wrong. He seemed to jump from where he was rather than actually move his feet and then dive for the ball. And I think, most people in the crowd would have probably said that with respect. But, it is another area in the summer where we will need to look to recruit and bring in a really decent goalkeeper. But like I said to you before, there's a lot of work to do in the summer.
It's mental though. We've had this conversation before. Like his first season at Spurs, he was in my team of the season because I just thought it was absolutely fantastic, and his form has just dropped off the edge of a cliff. Mike, I mean, Dominic Szoboszlai, I think it's 4 direct free kicks this season for Liverpool. I think it's 5 in his Liverpool career, which puts him 13 behind David Beckham's record for direct free kicks in the Premier League.
I know where you go. Get out of here.
apart from obviously the mistake he made in the FA Cup when it was just an absolute mix up at the back. He's been mint this season, hasn't he?
Oh, yes. He's been sensational, and it's a shame that what is his best season in Liverpool shirt, without a doubt, came in probably the worst time. Now, he's won a trophy every year of his career, if I'm correct. And this looks like the year that's going to come to a halt. The only trophy he'll take home this season, rightfully so, is Player of the Season. It's his work rate is what I feel like we lack in midfield, and we keep pushing him out to right back. You put him in our midfield, and the whole team is going to step up a level. People forgetting our Spurs, absolutely rightfully so, can talk about injury concerns. We're missing. We've been missing 2 right backs for most of the year. We're missing our forwards. We're missing our only defensive midfielder, Endo. Well, not that he would play much under Slot. Slot doesn't rotate his team, but we are just using Szoboszlai to cover every position, and he's getting a James Milner treatment where he should be getting a Gerrard-like treatment. I'm not saying in terms of quality, but I mean in terms of he is the focus of your midfield. Build it round him instead of treating him like we did Milner, whereas you're plugging holes until the sink falls apart. But now he's had a great season.
We mentioned obviously about trophies there, just to keep everyone aware. Liverpool fans, you already know you're still in the FA Cup and also the Champions League as well. 1-0 down to Galatasaray. Chris, I mean, last week was it was an absolute disaster for Tottenham. I mean, the whole season's been an absolute disaster, but these last 7 to 10 days have really been, I think, the worst it possibly could have been and has been in the life of a Tottenham fan. Atletico Madrid losing 5-2. A couple of days before that, the loss to Crystal Palace as well. I mean, Jason Cundy's providing us with some unbelievable content here on talkSPORT. And I mean, you're probably getting no enjoyment watching it. Atletico Madrid on Wednesday night, and then at home, you'll be taking on Nottingham Forest, fellow relegation strugglers as well. The thoughts in the away end last night after Richarlison scored that goal, has it given you a bit of belief that you can actually get something? Maybe right off the Champions League because you're 3 goals behind, but you never know what can happen. The next well, every game until the end of the season now is so crucial. All eyes on Nottingham Forest. Is there the real belief within that fan base that you can stay up?
Well, from what you just said there, Harry, at the Tottenham Hotspur Stadium recently, when we lost 3-1 against Crystal Palace, I think that there was a genuine shock inside the stadium, and then a reality check to everyone that, we could potentially go down, because you've got to be winning these games at home. Spurs are still the only team without a Premier League win in the calendar year of 2026, and all of the teams around us are picking up more points. So that draw, I was going to say win then, it felt like a win because it felt like such a lift yesterday. But that draw yesterday, such a massive point for us. And like you've said there, and like I said earlier, it does give us that belief now to go on. Hopefully this is going to be the turning point, and hopefully this is going to be that change. Igor Tudor has come under a lot of criticism. The players have come under a lot of criticism, including the board and the owners. But these Spurs fans now, we really, really do need to get behind the team on Sunday against Forest, because this is probably one of the biggest games in Premier League history for us. Yeah. In terms of Premier League survival. But the games that we've played under Igor Tudor, the Arsenal game, the Fulham game, the Crystal Palace game, the Atletico Madrid game that you mentioned there, we didn't really see anything, and that's why a lot of fans have been calling for him to be sacked. But when you see positive signs, and when you see what happened at Anfield on Sunday, we need to see more of this. And as Mike said earlier about injuries, we had 13 players out for this game against Liverpool. So, for these players to dig deep, this is exactly what we need. We can't get carried away by a draw at Anfield. This needs to continue. This form needs to continue. These performances and these players putting in everything. It does need to continue.
The post-match interview with Igor Tudor yesterday was a bit weird, wasn't it?
They want a reaction. Yeah. They want a reaction, and I thought he dealt with it pretty well, actually. And I've not been Igor Tudor's biggest fan recently at all. But the media just want sound bites from him, and they do normally get them in the 30 days that he's been in charge. He's had some very strange interviews. He said some very strange things, but the way that he conducted himself and dealt with that situation yesterday, I thought was perfectly well.
Mike, just to finish us off then, Rio Ngamoa, of course, got his first Premier League start for Liverpool. We know that he's looked so dangerous, and if it's going off the back of, obviously you would have known about him a hell of a lot longer than a lot of us guys, because obviously of him being in your setup. We go back to the goal against Newcastle at the start of the season, but for a first Premier League start, he looks so dangerous, doesn't he? Exciting as well.
No, he does. He's a fantastic young talent. He really is, and he is electric. He does remind me a lot of Raheem Sterling when he first came on the scene for Liverpool. He's very direct. He's very creative in how he plays. He can go left. He can go right. He's really exciting because when he gets on the ball, I lied before. I said the loudest Liverpool got when we booed at the end. No, the loudest we got was in the first half, where we had this 10-minute period where we kept feeding the ball to Rio, and he kept running at Pedro Porro. And he kept beating Pedro Porro, and he kept beating that young, I think it's a young South American lad you bought in the January. He kept running at him, and he kept taking him down. We don't have a winger that does that anymore. And that's no slight on Salah, that's no slight on Gakpo, but that is a type of winger Liverpool have lacked all season. Now, we have to manage the player. I understand that, and I think the medical department are doing a fantastic job with him, so we don't run into a Stefan Bajcetic where he's out for 18 months, 2 years. We don't run into a situation like Jadon Dan's where he's constantly out with these reoccurring injuries because maybe there was too much put on them too soon. But I'm telling you right now, Rio Ngamoa is going right to the top. Liverpool are managing him very well. And if there's one bright spark to come from this season, it is the introduction of him, and also a lesser spoken about one, which is Trey Nyoni. Trey Nyoni is getting a few minutes here and there. Now, I'm not saying he lit the world alight against Spurs, but that is a proper midfielder. Trey Nyoni, remember the name.
Chris, any parting words, mate? I imagine from now until the end of the season, we will be speaking to each other more, because I think you are the most, you're the most frequent guest now on this show. And obviously, I appreciate you giving up your Mondays. Do you know what? It's one of those things where obviously you got a YouTube channel, you speak, and this, that, and the other, but for you to not be on this show would probably actually mean that Spurs are doing quite well.
Harry, I said before we went live, the fact that every single time I seem to come on here, we've lost. And I know it's been a really, really difficult season, but my parting words would be that I'm just hoping and praying that this team give absolutely everything and this manager can come in and just turn things around, because he's got off to an awful start. And this point, as I said, hopefully will be a turning point, and hopefully, Spurs will be a Premier League team next season. And then hopefully the owners and the board can either sell the club or take things seriously and guide Spurs back to where we belong in those Champions League spots.
This episode of Set to the Score is sponsored by Sky Sports. Stream Sky Sports flexibly on Now. What you want, when you want, no fuss. Go to nowtv.com to start streaming Sky Sports today.